Welcome to the inUpowers podcast, where we give a name and a face to emotion. We discuss the real and raw when it comes to mental and emotional health. We are here to teach you that emotions are information and behavior is a choice. We want to help you make safer connections through healthy communication by empowering you to understand what your emotions are telling you. I'm your host, Tammy Hymas. Let's get started. Welcome to the inUpowers podcast. I'm Tammy Hymas.
And I'm Nikki Tavares.
And we are here today to talk more about emotions, understanding them, parenting, the real, the raw. And for our Moments Minute, and what the episode will be about, is understanding your emotions. Do you recognize when you are getting frustrated or angry, or your world is spinning out of control? Or are you recognizing when you are trying to people please or make others happy, or you're just scared? Like, do you actually recognize the emotions as you're feeling them? And then while you're feeling them, do you understand what they're saying? Because emotions are information.
They are.
And when you understand what the emotions are telling you, you can actually listen to the information and make a healthy cognitive choice. But we don't start out like that.
No, we don't.
Like, we've been talking about this before, but how are children when it comes to emotions? We think they have tons of them because they're always crying and then they're laughing. So we think because they're simple and they're young, they've got it all figured out. But what's the truth?
They don't. They have to learn to associate. They have to learn to make connections in their brain, with what a word is and what it means. For example, I remember when my son was younger and we were at a friend's house and they had one of those gas fireplaces. And we kept telling him, no, hot, owies, hot, owies. Well, guess what he did? He still touched it. And he got burned a little bit. And so guess what? He now has associated hot and owies and burn with the heat and that fireplace. So now when we tell him hot and owies, he's going to go, oh yes, I remember that. Okay, hot, owies. So now we've just made a connection. And that goes like that with many other emotions. What's that feeling in their stomach? They have to learn to associate that with hunger, with what that stomach is telling them, because they don't know it's called hunger until they can associate the word hungry with that emotion. Or the butterflies in their stomach. It's not the same as hunger, but those butterfly nervous feeling, what is that? That is being nervous. We have to make those connections between what they're feeling and what the name of that emotion is. And some of them are easier, like anger or sadness. They see it in cartoons and movies. They see it in siblings and other people when someone is sad, and we associate crying with sad. Sometimes crying with being happy too, but we have to make those connections between these feelings and what's going on in their bodies with the words.
And it's incredible because babies instantly know when something's wrong and cry. But they have a bubble, or, they need their diaper changed, or they need to be fed, or they're sick. And so I don't even think we stop to think that children don't understand their emotions.
Right.
And then we get frustrated as adults. I know I would. Like my daughter, we were in Walmart and she wanted attention and I just needed to get the groceries and go. And she just started screaming at the top of her lungs. And I was not having it. And so I had to leave the cart there and take her out of the store. But I wanted her to have big girl understandings and big girl knowledge to her screaming. And because I was frustrated and I was flustered and I was embarrassed, I went outside, and then she had all of those emotions as well. And I don't think we realize how much we actually impact each other.
Yes.
When I was frustrated or sick, my kids would be frustrated. They might not have been sick, but they'd be frustrated because I was frustrated. If I was happy and joyful and peaceful, they'd be happy, joyful, and peaceful most of the time. It was like they could feed off my own energy, but I didn't recognize that they were doing that at the time.
Yeah, they totally do. If you can come in and be happy and, someone who's having a bad day, think about a coworker or something and you're having a bad day and a coworker comes in and gives you a hug and say, "Oh, it's so good to see you and so glad you're here." That can totally change your outlook. It totally changes the way you feel. Just like if a coworker is always complaining and whining, it can drain you.
It's true.
It can drain you as well, to always be around someone who's negative all the time and complaining. So, yes, our emotions can affect those around us, and in more ways than one, because sometimes we get frustrated at someone else's emotions.
Yes.
Like, why do they have to be so happy all the time? I wish I could be like them. Or, I wish they would, be happy sometimes. They're always negative, and we need all these emotions, but we still got to make those connections and understand because, like with kids, they don't become peer aware, which means understanding the peers around them that they can see what they do and they might get embarrassed and things like that until they're about third grade or so. But they might not have paid attention to what's going on around them, and now they are. So now they're going to start feeling that embarrassment and frustration, but they don't know exactly what does that mean. Does that mean when my cheeks turn red and everybody's looking at me and my cheeks turn red and I just want to leave as fast as I can, and then I start to associate that with being embarrassed? What's going on with my body and stuff, and why is everybody looking at me, whereas before I didn't care and now I do?
That's incredible. So until they're about in second grade, they don't really see everybody around them.
Well, yeah, about third grade, fourth grade. They see them, but they're not seeing them as far as judging them.
Wow.
Yeah, judging them. It's kind of like how kids don't have the ability to start rationalizing until they're 5 or 6. They don't understand before that when they're in the car and they say, "I'm thirsty." And you're like, "I don't have anything. I'll get you something when we get home." And they're like, "No, I'm thirsty." "I know, sweetheart. When we get home, I'll get you something to drink. I don't have anything." "But I'm thirsty now." And then we start to throw a fit, because they don't understand. They can't rationalize, "What do you mean I don't have anything to drink, but I'm thirsty?" And so it's not until they're older that they're, "Oh, okay, that makes sense. I don't have water. There's no water in the car. I can hold on and wait till we get home." Same with the peers around us. They don't care what they're wearing when they're younger. They could be all mismatched. My daughter wore all sorts of things. They didn't care if their hair was done and being mismatched. That's just their favorite shirt and favorite pants, And they don't care if they wear it 100 times in a week.
It's true.
That's just their favorite.
Or if it's even muddy.
Oh, yeah.
Or stinky.
Or clean. Oh, yeah. They could care less. Because they're not aware of others around them judging them, going, "You've already worn that. That's dirty. You smell."
Those are adult thoughts.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we get in trouble because our adult thoughts we displace on our children. Mm-hmm. Like we're like, don't you understand you need to be clean? Don't you understand we can't give you a drink right now? Don't you understand that you can't yell in the store because people are going to pay attention to us? Like, I think we want to control other people, and we can't. But we can only control ourselves.
Right.
And because we can only control ourselves, and a child is saying, "I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty," and they can't rationalize it, then you need to understand, like we as adults need to recognize that where they are and what they are able to process and stuff. I think that's a huge gap I never knew as a mom. Because I wanted them to be little adults like me. I'm like, "Why aren't you thinking like me?" In fact, I still think that about people sometimes in the world. "Why aren't you driving as fast as me?" I drive really fast. Or just like, "Why aren't you?" And I'm not really like this because I love people and I'm not wanting to control others, but I do have those thoughts every once in a while. And I think that is a common one as parents do.
Well, I find myself doing that too with common sense. Like, to me, I'm like, do they not have common sense? And I get frustrated when people don't have common sense because I think they should have that. Right? But again, that's me, not them. And I have to realize I can't expect others to do what I want them to do when they're their own person. But we have to remember that, we can't expect a 9-year-old to know every single emotion in the book.
It's true.
And then how to process those emotions. Then you start getting puberty coming in and we got even more emotions going on, and how to deal with those and stuff like that they're still making those connections. Those vocabulary, Their vocabulary is still growing and connections are still happening. All up into the teens and into your 20s, those connections are still happening. And we've got to be a little more patient with ourselves, and we need to be more understanding of our own emotions and figuring out, why am I feeling this way? What does this mean when my body does this? How can I regulate those? And how can I move forward? And I know we're talking about some of the negative, if you will, emotions, but sometimes we have some of those good emotions too. Like when you help out a friend and you have this warm, giddy feeling inside, well, what does that mean? What is that
Feeling.
tell us? When people are saying thank you over and over again and we can't digest a compliment and those feelings that we get, or when your team just won something and won the game, and what is that feeling and emotion, that elation and all that stuff. So it's understanding those emotions well and connecting them. And I want to do that again. I want to play on a team. I want to feel valued. I want to be part of something. And those are all good feelings too, because this team just made me feel valued. But what does that mean? They made me feel like I belonged, and I want those feelings again. So I'm going to continue to play and be on this team. So we got those emotions too, not just, feeling sad.
In fact, we have those emotions more
Yes.
than we normally have the really hurtful, dark, and ugly. Our thoughts might be focused on what's going wrong in the world, and we talk about it and we commiserate about it, and we can watch it on TV and in the internet and in lots of places. But for the most part, we are good as humanity.
Yeah.
You watch somebody stumble and you startle too, because you mirror their behavior, and you have somebody smile at you and you smile back. And you're asleep for 8 hours of the day. That's all good. And then you wake up and you're taking a shower and you're getting ready and you're going to work. And then when you're at work, you're helping someone and you're getting something accomplished and you're working with a team. And we spend more hours doing good and having positive, or I would almost call them complacent emotions that we're used to feeling, that we're not giving credit to.
Yeah, and I don't think we talk about those.
We don't.
We don't talk about those. Not like we do the ones that impact others. I don't always like to say positive and negative, because
we call them proactive and reactive.
Right, proactive and reactives is what we call them in the inUpowers program. But a lot of people associate positive and negative.
Right.
And they're negative because they can cause others to feel bad too,
or harm.
But yet at the same time, they're just those storms that are coming from somewhere.
Right.
And they're just those moments. But I think we need to talk about those positive ones too, or
Yes.
are proactive, because we don't talk about feeling happy, we don't talk about smiling, we don't talk about feeling elated and excitement. I talk with kids at school, with anxiety. And they've never been that far away from home. We were going to Yellowstone National Park, which is about an hour and 15-minute drive for us. And they've never been that far without their mom before. And so she had so much anxiety. And I'm like, it's okay. I get it. I understand. What can we do to help you? What can we do? Do we need to make a phone call? Do we need to send mom text messages so that you'll feel safe and comfortable? Do we need to make a phone call when we get there? What do we need to help you? And it's okay to have these feelings.
Absolutely.
Because again, you don't want to invalidate anyone's feelings.
No.
And stuff, and say, that's silly, come on. It's just a Yellowstone.
Now, that is an autopilot. That is generational
Yes.
autopilot. That is us as parents that haven't been taught to be parents. That's something we will just say, like, oh, don't be silly, or you don't need to cry, or you don't need to. Telling someone or devaluating the way they're actually feeling doesn't help a situation ever once.
No.
Because all you've done is taught them that they need to suppress it.
Yes.
Or that it doesn't matter. Or that information is invalid for them. And none of those things will help someone. But recognizing an emotion and actually not suppressing it, but expressing it, feeling it, will help you find the root to it.
What are we going to do about it?
Yes.
Okay, we have
Now we have
anxiety
control.
about going on the field trip. Okay, where is it coming from? What are we going to do with it?
Right.
You
and
know?
what is in your control?
Yes, and that's what we told her, and we came up with these solutions, and she ended up having the best time. And I know she really appreciated, because I was one of the first teachers who actually told her it was okay.
Right.
It's okay to have those feelings in your stomach. It's okay to have those worries, but now what are we going to do with it? You
And
know?
and I think we don't give permission for the feeling, but we always want to punish the response that's negative.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm feeling angry and frustrated and I'm just so mad that I'm just clenching my fist and I'm getting ready to yell and I start yelling, then that behavior got attention. But when I was clenching and I was frustrated, if I didn't express it or I didn't even recognize it, then it turned into a behavior. But there is that space, and that's what we teach, is there's a space between what you're feeling and that response. And in that space, you can find out the information your feelings are telling you. And when you recognize that your emotions are giving you information, you can more clearly make cognitive decisions, and so can children,
Yes.
about what they need or want.
Well, it's like being sad, right? Well, if we find out the reason why they're sad, well, because nobody will play with me. Well,
They're lonely.
why won't, yeah, they're lonely. And they don't know how to go out and approach a group of kids already playing and say, can I join you?
Because they're scared, probably.
They're scared.
So now
right?
we realized they were lonely and scared, and it wasn't just sad.
Right. And then now what can we do about it? What can we do? Can we introduce you to new people? Can I come out and join you and help ease you into the game? What are we going to do with this? Instead of bloating, what do you mean you're sad? Just go outside and play. Go find someone to play.
I've said that I have
been trying.
Words.
I've been trying, and they're like, I have been trying. Nobody will play with me. But they haven't approached anybody either. So it's one of those things, like it's information. Why are you angry? Why are you sad? Why are you frustrated? Why are you anything?
And asking the why is how you heal.
Mm-hmm.
When you find out that your emotion is a storm and your emotions are screaming that you're having a what about me moment, like our Wham character, and you are just empty. But when you actually keep asking why, did I eat? Did I sleep? Is it that I need to talk to my mom? Is it that I need to talk to my dad? What is making me empty? Why is that emotion happening to me? Then you can actually understand what you have control over. Or having someone who can recognize the emotion and help me find a solution is powerful.
Right, which is why I love the inUpowers program, because this program teaches people how to do just that and stuff. And how to move forward with that information and how to deal with them and to move forward. I love it. And then, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, the other thing I love is that once you're able to start recognizing those emotions in yourself, you can start recognizing them in other people. Oh, they're having a moment right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're having a Wham moment or an OC moment or something's going on. That this reaction, this behavior is because of other things. And then I can control my reactions and my feelings so that I can then help them.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, as soon as you recognize your emotions, or once you understand emotions, period, with yourself, it makes it a lot easier for you to see somebody else's storms.
Yes.
Because you've identified them in yourself. And we know ourselves best. We hear the thoughts in our head. We see what we're doing. We know what we expect or not expect. We are only in control of ourselves. But when we can actually recognize that this emotion is causing this behavior, and then where we're around other people, we can see that, oh, if I get in that storm, I might get all fired up too, right? Like I could act out in that. But by seeing it and recognizing it myself, I can approach it completely differently. And we can talk through the why behind the emotion.
Exactly.
Another thing we say a lot of times is we have bad days, or we're just having a bad day. And that is not true. No one has 24 hours where the world is just attacking them every second.
Want to know a funny story?
Yeah.
I used that today. So I went into a classroom today and I was in the office, and a student that I've known over the years was in the office, and he was there, and I actually said, "Are you having a bad day today?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "You know what? Actually, that's not true. You're not having a bad day. It's not even lunchtime yet." And I said, "We have lots more moments in the day." And I said, "I bet you we can get through this moment, and then we can have great moments for the rest of the day. That this moment right here doesn't have to ruin the rest of our day." And stuff. And he goes, "It doesn't?" And I'm like, "No, buddy, it doesn't." I go, I know we're having a rough moment right now, but as soon as we can work through this moment, we have the rest of the day to go and be happy and to be successful and do all the things that we wanted to do today. We just got to get through this one moment right here.
And
And he was like, huh? like never even thought about it and stuff. And so I was like, yes, I'm using part of the inUpowers because he was able to understand that, but yet was blown away by it, because he's like, oh, maybe I can have a good afternoon. Maybe I can have a good day. This doesn't ruin the whole day. This is okay. Maybe I can do this. Because I'm sure his thinking is, well, the whole day's ruined, so why bother?
Well, that's normally how we think.
Yeah.
Oh, everything's destroyed. It's snowing outside. Well, no, just because it's snowing outside doesn't mean your day can't be great. And for other people, like, oh, it's snowing outside. I get to finally go skiing. I get to go snowmobiling. It's all perspective. Mm-hmm. And when you recognize your thoughts and your emotions and you can start understanding them. And remember, kids can't, but you can. And you start controlling your emotions and taking care of what you're feeling and the why behind what you're feeling. You really can create the tomorrows you really want.
It's so true. And I know even as adults, we struggle with our emotions.
Yeah.
And so like that, and learning to read them and to understand them. And so as we learn to do that and understand where our emotions are coming from, then we're able to help those around us, whether it's our children, whether it's coworkers or whatnot, that we're able to recognize and help them with their emotions because we're starting to recognize our own.
Right.
Because I'm sure people are out there going, well, shoot, I can't even control my own emotions. Well, you got to work with yourself first.
Well, and you can't control your emotions. You can control your thoughts.
Right, yes.
But you can't control your emotions, and that's a big piece. You can process it. The emotion's information.
Right.
And what you do between the information and your response, you can control. But the emotion is information. So feel the emotion and find the why behind it. Then you're unlocking the key to your whole soul. And you're really unlocking the key to life. Because now instead of getting mad, I'm asking, why am I mad? I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I get hangry.
Yeah. Hangry's a real thing in my house.
And so I'm like, I'm not really mad. I'm short because I need food in my body. And as soon as I get food in my body, I'm as pleasant as can be. And I really wasn't mad. I was hungry.
Yeah, or even tired because you didn't sleep well the night before.
Exactly.
Which happens to kids too. They don't sleep well either. And then they're cranky. And then they just this is what happens. I let out my emotions.
Exactly.
And because they're not having that time between feeling that and the response, they haven't been able to go, oh, why am I being cranky? But you can help them figure out why they're being cranky.
And if you don't expect them, or expectations are premeditated disappointments, I'm going to
We've
say
already had
that. But if you can know that the child is finding out the why and even what the emotion is, it will help you understand that you don't need to be caught up in their storm. And that your thoughts can help them find the why behind it and help them process it healthy and help them figure out what's not going right. Like, I need to learn how to ask to have friends play with me.
Right.
That's a route that you can help guide your child through.
Yes, exactly. Because some of them, they're just simple things like, I don't know how to go and ask. And you think that's such a simple thing, but to a kid, that's like their whole world.
It is.
Friends and school are their whole world. And so if we try to play off that that's not important, it won't work for them or you. That's their whole world, friends, and we need to help them to navigate these emotions through their childhood and make those connections. And then once those connections are made, then they're able to communicate. Yes. And open that communication between you and them so that you guys can understand each other better and to have better tomorrows.
And that's the whole point. And actually, that's the reason why we have the inUpowers. We want you to understand your emotions so that you can make safe connections with healthy communication. Because when we communicate as a human family and we start looking for the good and we start becoming a part of the good, we really do change our tomorrows. And with as much as there is out there nowadays for us to look at and to be affected by, I hope that you are finding the root to what's the storms in your life. if you're always looking at the news and the negative, or what in your thoughts or in your life are actually adding to the storms, and then what are adding to the good, and maybe pay attention to them. And as we've talked through this episode, how children process it and adults, with our challenge, our Moments Minute, understanding your emotions, this week, take a moment to understand your emotions. What am I feeling? And then when you're like starting to like just get frustrated or sad or happy or elated, whatever it is, ask why. Why am I feeling this emotion? Why is this affecting me in this way or that way? And as you start seeing it in yourself, you will start to recognize it in others. And your world actually gets a little bit easier.
I think so. I find myself doing it automatically now and stuff, and start analyzing myself or even analyzing others.
Right. And we're not saying to analyze the world. I mean, we do it anyways.
No,
naturally.
but I just sit there and I'll go the why. Oh, they're not having a very good day. I wonder why. I wonder what happened. I wonder if I can help them.
Instead of going, oh, it's probably because, and writing a whole scenario that doesn't even exist in our thoughts sometimes, especially the negative ones that tend to automatically pop up.
Yeah.
So anyway, we are super happy that you joined us this week on our inUpowers podcast. And remember,
emotions are information.
Behavior is a choice. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the inUpowers podcast. We are grateful you are here. Please share this podcast with those you know who might need it, and follow and rate us so we can continue providing this podcast to you. Follow us on social media to see more visuals about the inUpowers, and join us next week for another episode. Until then, remember, the power to choose is in you.